there, my name's Andrew Walsh. I'm a writer, director, producer based in Melbourne. Well, it's a tough one. Guess I turned 17, dropped out of high school, and I figured I needed a job where I could sleep all day and stay out of the sun, to be honest, probably meet some girls. But, no, look, I just started just writing originally, and then things just took off from there. Certainly didn't plan to be a filmmaker. I was hoping to be an ice hockey player. How to get into it? Bit of an unconventional way. I didn't go to film school or anything. I've got no educational background, mainly self-taught. I just saw a bunch of movies on TV and I figured, well, that's something I could do. So I grew up in South Australia originally. There wasn't too much happening over there, so I came over to Melbourne on my own and I've just been carving away at it ever since. First film I ever made was a film called The Comedian back in 2010. It was sort of a dark comedy about this sort of stand-up comedian who's preparing for the performance of a lifetime and is hiding from a tragic past. We made that with James Barr, who's been my principal collaborator in the role. We didn't really know what we were doing, and we just shot the thing over 2 days, and actually got accepted into the 2011 Cannes Film Festival. 2019 doesn't really mean shit, but back then it was a pretty big deal. And yeah, we just did it in 2 days, no money, no plan, and been doing it ever since. I think some would argue that 10 years later I still don't know what I'm doing. I guess the vision I bring into my work is that a lot of my stuff is really intensely personal, and what I do is I use that vision to explore assets of my own personality through the characters and the stories. What I like to do is I like to use it to explore my desires, my insecurities, the things I'm angry about, the things I like, the things I don't like, my past experiences and how they shape me, and then I like to mix it up into a fictional narrative. I think that's why people really relate to the films, why they're still doing well for so long, because they connect to it on an emotional level, and that's what it's all about. I mean, if you don't connect emotionally with a movie, you switch the fucking thing off and you go do something else, don't you? What was my favourite film? It's kind of ironic, really, because my favourite film is actually the one that did the worst and no one seemed to like, actually. It was my second film, Rearranged, sort of a crime drama about two friends, wrong sides of the tracks, who meet up for the first time in years with disastrous consequences. It's a hardboiled crime drama, it's very fluid, lots of handheld shots. No one seemed to like it. Couldn't get played at any festivals. Every local screen in Melbourne was a disaster. One guy almost wanted to punch me once because he didn't like it that much, so that means you're onto something good. But yeah, we had a good time making that one, so I don't care if no one likes it. I like it. So yeah, Rearrange, that's my favourite. What I'm currently working on. Well, I'm working on my first feature film at the moment. It's going to be a semi-improvised feature called How Deep Is the Ocean? It's a story about a young lady with a mysterious past she doesn't want to discuss. She sort of moves to Melbourne on her own, tries to sort of reinvent herself in the city. It seems like the city is going to thwart her at every single turn. And she ends up taking residence in this boarding house. She comes across all this gallery of, exiles, no-hopers, losers. And, she spends most of her time working crappy dead-end jobs, pursuing this affair of a married neighbour, while she's oblivious to the people who really do care about her. And we plan on doing that later this year, probably with even less money than my short films, just back to basics, doco, handheld style, natural light, no permits. Yeah, so in a few months, hopefully get that going. I've also written 2 feature film scripts, which I intend to direct as well. But yeah, just keep doing features. I don't want to do shorts anymore at all. I feel like I've done everything I set out to do and said all I want to say. So yeah, 3 more features. That's the next 10 years of my life written off. So yeah, just that, and hopefully not dying of a stroke. Those are my goals. What's the process for choosing actors? Well, obviously there's got to be a connection there. There's got to be a rapport. What I used to do, select the actors I'm interested in. I meet them for a coffee. And for the first 45 minutes, we would talk about anything except for the film. That way you can really work out who someone's all about. I mean, if somebody can't carry a conversation for 45 minutes, do you really want to be stuck for 12 hours in a film set with them as well? So I guess, obviously, connection, passion, work ethic, values. But at the end of the day, it's just chemistry. It's either there or it isn't. The biggest challenge I've encountered in film is probably myself, because I'm self-taught, so I've definitely made a lot of mistakes around my career. I haven't really had anybody to ask for guidance. That's my fault more than anything. But suppose other than that, just getting things played. Every day I see films aren't particularly great. They picked up all these festivals all over the world, and then I see films that are fantastic and they go absolutely nowhere. It's always the luck of the draw. Oh, definitely. Everyone's unknown. I'm unknown. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, like sometimes an unknown actor will actually hit it much harder than, say, an established actor. Like I've mentioned that Rearranged is my favourite film. Part of the reason Rearranged is my favourite film is because of Wade McConnell. He plays one of the roles. Wade was a non-actor. He'd never acted a day in his life. But those 2 days on set, he was so determined. He hit it so hard. He didn't miss a beat. Did not miss up a single take. And that energy shows on screen, and capturing that sort of raw energy is what it's all about.
You fucker. You motherfucking piece of shit. Are you for real? Are you for real? Is this really... Fuck you! Oh my god! You piece of shit! Is this really how you wanted to go out? Today! Today was the day you were going to go out, right? Oh, you motherfucker!
Annie?
I'm gonna...
What is it?
Fucking fridge died!
Please, this free filmmakers that inspire me. Well, it's like a spectrum, it's always shifting. So if you ask me that question tomorrow, I'll give you 3 different answers. But today I'd say right now what really does inspire me is Andrea Arnold. She's an English director. She's made Red Road, Fish Tank, most recently American Honey. I guess I just love the way she sort of does that very fluid sort of doco-visual style. And a lot of her characters are about, being on the margins of society, not people you see very often. Sort of people you'd cross the road to avoid. But there's always there's a vulnerability there, there's an intimacy there, there's a humanity there. It's like when the camera's following these characters around, they're learning things about themselves at the same time that I am. That's a powerful connection. And I think with 99% of movies, point A to point B, you know how it's going to end. And that's what makes Andrea Arnold's film so compelling, is that you never know how it's going to end. That's definitely what I aspire to. I guess my second one would be an oldie but a goodie, Kevin Smith. He definitely had a big effect on me when I was first starting out, mainly his old stuff, like Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Clerks most of all. Because he really just showed me that you don't need a lot of money. You don't need a lot of equipment. You just need some actors, a room, and some good ideas, and you can do anything you want. And it goes back to making a great universal story, like the movie Clerks. Clerks does so well because everyone's been at a certain age where you feel like there's a situation that you can't get out of. Where it's financially, where it's, romantically. But he always found the way to laugh at that. It's almost an English thing. It's like laughing at your worst peril. And if you laugh at it, you'll be alright. And that's what I always got from Kevin Smith's movies, a sort of empowerment. If you can laugh at all these things, you're probably going to turn out okay. And third one would be Lars von Trier. Because I'm really liking the direction he's been going in his last few films with Melancholia, Antichrist, The House That Jack Built. Because I just think that it sort of just transcends, like good and evil. He goes to some dark places, there's no question about that. I don't think any other director right now established is willing to go to those places. And yeah, it's unsettling, but it's bloody entertaining. It's exciting as well. And once again, he's really gone for that sort of documentary, sort of handheld style, but he does it really well. The film that inspired me most and made me want to get into it was a movie called Henry Fool. It's a 90s indie film made by a guy called Hal Hartley. It's about this garbage man who lives this dull existence in New York, and he wants to be a writer, has a dysfunctional family. And then this guy called Henry Fool moves in next to him until he changes his life. I mean, it's political, it's totally inappropriate, it's profane. Every single scene seems a lot of vomiting and sex. I just thought, yeah, if I was going to make a film, that's something I'd do. Second one would probably be an Italian movie called Over Zoto. That's what I saw when I was first about 17. It's also sort of like a bleak sort of comic realist film. It's about this kid that lives in the slums of Rome. It's very safe to say he's probably got a lot going against him. You know, his mother died, his father goes to jail. You know, his older brother is mentally disabled. It sounds like the most bleak, depressing movie ever because it's Italian. It's so full of life and it's hilarious. It's seeing the light and everything. And the third one would be Apocalypse Now. Because I don't feel like I need to justify Apocalypse Now because it's fucking awesome. That's why. What's the biggest challenge? I just think the biggest challenge is that we should all be working together rather than against each other. I don't think the government's a problem. I don't give a shit about the government. They never funded me, they never supported me, they never supported anyone I know either. So I don't really see that the industry is a problem itself. I think it's just more the lack of unity. Like when you look at the city of Melbourne, we have so much talent, we've got the gear, we've got the locations, we've got everything we need to make our own self-sustaining industry, but unfortunately you've got egos and people fighting when we could really be doing so much more. Oh, well, that's a good name for a good production company. Don't ask me. My first production company's name was Accidentally Sexy Films, which didn't work out too well because, you know, we'd play our films and then it would turn up on the screen and people would think it was a porno company. I then set up a Facebook page for Accidentally Sexy Films, and yeah, I got lots of inappropriate messages there. So yeah, I don't know. For now, I decided to stick it just to Andrew Walsh Films until further notice.
Oh my God, they banged it. He's running. Kick it. Yes! Yes! No! We're three up! Cheers, me. Yes! Yes! I cannot believe that! Yes! 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 Come on! Whoa! Whoa! Ah! Yes! Yes! Gods! Yes!
Am I going to move to Hollywood? No, I'm just going to stay in Melbourne. Look, I'm an introverted person. You know, I'm a creature of habit. I like my environment. You know, I don't want to give all this up to go to America or Europe. So the way I see it, you know, if Enya can create a career by living in a castle, you know, Sigur Rós can do it from Iceland in the middle of nowhere. You know, Captain Beefheart did his whole career from a trailer in the California desert. You know, I reckon I can still make films from Melbourne. It's kind of like that movie, The Departed, you know, where Jack Nicholson says, you know, I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me. You know, it's the digital age. You don't have to move to America anymore. So no, look, I like Melbourne very much. Been here for 11 years. I fear change, so no, I'm going to stay here and make it work. What advice would I give to aspiring filmmakers? I guess I just give two bits of advice, really. One is just to try and stay positive, because you never know where you're going to end up. You know, I started from nothing, you know, and I've got, you know, my films have gone as far as New Zealand and France, you know, Israel, you know, to the Middle East, you know, from South Australia to there. That's a pretty long road, and I'm proud of that. Just make the films that you want to make. You know, like, it's not like any of us ever going to get paid for this, so what's the point in compromising? Don't worry about the system, don't worry about the marketplace. There's a market out there for every single film, no matter how bizarre or strange it is. So yeah, stay positive, go after the stories that you want to go after. And if anyone says it can't be done, or there's no market for the kind of films you want to create, well, just tell them to fuck off. So yeah, there you have it. Stay positive and fuck off. The Andrew Walsh recipe for success.